Hey guys, here we are with today's gear using the B13 Declaration brush, the BotiBrush handle. He's been soaking for about 15-20 minutes, and that should give him plenty of hydration to do the job. With these wooden handles, I don't like to lay those down and submerge them in water. Oh, you know what I could do is put them over in the brushed rest in my lather bowl. All right, while I talk to you about the rest of the, because if I have my brush soaking, then when I hold it up for the photo, it's wet, and then I need to put it down while I talk about other stuff. It will drip everywhere, right? Well, other stuff in the shave, blade, razor, soap, are all things that have been sent to me out of the kindness of other shavers' hearts. And this is Ethos Lavender. And I've never tried the Ethos brand before. And I just looked it up online to see if anything about the lavender was unique or different for me to tell you. And I learned that this is an expensive soap. Woof. And you can see it's a little bit on the soft side as I pull this out, pull the cap off. We have some soap kind of coming with it. So it looks like maybe it's got a softer texture. It does have a very nice lavender scent. It seems like the company there is focusing on essential oils, not putting too much perfumery in there to agitate your skin. On the Pastures Pharmacy website about this soap, it specifically mentioned that, hey, this is a great soap to use if you're a night shaver. And of course that makes sense. Any lavender soap, probably a good idea. Anyway, I need to get to the other gear in case you're just looking for the gear we're going to use, and then you'll know whether you want to watch the video. So we've got the Ethos soap, $36 approximately for 4 ounces. That's an expensive soap. Wolfman. The Darwin handle was actually on this razor when it was sent on loan to me from our very awesome HD Shaves. And he had this one going around to a bunch of different guys to let them try it out of the goodness of his heart. We've got the little washer there it makes things more complicated. However, it does protect the underside there if it's, some guys just like to do that. Inside, I'll be putting a gem PTFE blade. It's actually in there right now. I'm glad he cautioned me. I may have picked up on this anyway, but he cautioned me about putting the blade in the razor and everything, because it's not tricky. It's a little cumbersome because the blade sits down in here and there's not really too much holding it in place while you then take the bolt and put it through the hole back here. And there you go. So it was smart of him to say that. I'm also going to be very careful. I don't want to drop anything since this is on loan and it's a very nice razor. This PTFE blade has only had one use on it, I believe, so it should give me a good shave today. And let's take a little bit more look at this very interesting razor from Wolfman. Many of you guys are never going to be able to own a Wolfman because you just don't have the budget or the interest. I've heard some people say Wolfman. I don't really know the proper terminology to use. I don't know if he pronounces it different. He's Canadian. He's up in Canada. But in America, when we see the word Wolfman, we kind of associate, we just think of the mythical creature, that kind of thing. So I put my own handle on here because I do like this one better than I think it provides me with a better grip. I never liked the looks or the grip of the Darwin handle. Right where I choose to grip my razors that's where it's at its thinnest point right here. And so it just doesn't have a lot of confidence in the control for me. And so I thought I'd better go with this guy here. Well, obviously we're talking about a razor that has a lot of balance on this side of the equation and not as much over here. Now if we compare the WR3 with its predecessors, we can learn a little bit. This guy is a gem, and he's got that, sometimes I think some models call these a push button, I think, when it does this, but you place the blade, and in this situation, just like with this one, it's kind of sitting loosely, but then it's very easy to just close the top and clamp the blade down, and then a spring holds the blade in place. You just have to make sure that the blade comes down to these stops that are here in the corners. There's not really too much in the middle right here. Now the Wolfman is similar. I'm going to handle the razor below the screen. I like to do it normally in front of the screen so you guys can have something to look at, but because this is on loan, I want to be very extra cautious with it. So the base plate, so this is the way, you would shave like this, right? So you do have those two stops, very similar to the older one, and this does have a little bump in the middle that will let you put this guy on it, and it does a pretty good job of matching everything up. Now notice that the back here of the blade, it sticks up in the air, so the whole blade's not resting flat, and so if that's the case, then it might be a little easy to kind of pop open, or something to that effect. So just be careful with it. And then this is a modern single edge razor that takes the gem blades, the gem type blades. Well, here's another one, the Blackland Saber. Now this guy, he decided to be a little ingenious, and right through the middle of the blade goes this post. And I've used this razor before on this channel, and then you have the base plate's pretty simple. In this case, to assemble it, I find it's better to put the blade on this top cap first, and then of course it's not going anywhere because he's sitting on that little bolt, flat bolt. Then you put the base plate on there. Now the screwing together is kind of the tricky part about the Saber, because you got to have everything lined up right. Since it's not a standard round bolt, it's easier to cross thread, but just take your time, you'll get it right, and it's fine. To me, it's not really a big deal, but I can see how some people would struggle with it. And so I think we've got the same concept here with these modern three-piece razors. These are three-piece. You have the top cap, the base plate, and then the handle. Of course, the Wolfman is bigger because he's not doing that elegant thing that goes through the blade. Now, I love the way this guy shaves. I really enjoy it. If everything blew up and I didn't have any money and all I had was this razor and its blades, I'd have fine shaves. I really enjoy it. Now, HD Shaves, who provided me this, he said he rates it very, very highly. And he would know because he's used a lot of these vintage types. He knows a lot about them. A lot of experience with those. He did finally get to try the Saber. And he said that the Saber, if I recall correctly, it definitely has a different feel to it because, as you can see, look at the clamping here. We are right up next to the blade edge, where these guys tend to sing a little bit because look at all that distance, all that flex that's possible before you get to something solid. And so that allows for sound vibrations. And so you're going to get some sounds from those older types that you're just not going to get from the Saber. And it has a different hold on the blade, a much more firm hold. And so I can't remember if it was him or somebody else that since it's so different, they didn't quite want that kind of a feel. They liked the old feel of the vintage pieces. So that'll be interesting for us to look out for as we use this. Does this have something of the feel of the vintage? Is it super locked down and smooth like the Saber? We'll get to check that out. Now, it's kind of a cumbersome, hey, you can see your reflection there. It's a cumbersome piece in relation to some of the other Wolfman items. I don't think many people are going to say this is a beautiful head, where I think that could be argued about the elegance and beauty of this is the WR1. And then I think the WR2 looks even better. It is an open comb here. A lot of the vintage pieces are open comb. This one, for all practical purposes, is, even though under the curl here, it's solid. I think where it's touching your skin, it's open comb, and I think that's probably what matters. I think he did a neat job of designing the side of it here, where he's using kind of two C shapes. One, the C contacts the blade here from the top cap, and the back side here of the top cap is basically a C. Now it's a flat C, but it's a C. There's space in the middle, and then you've got the flat base plate that also contacts in those same points. And so then if you put a bolt in the middle of those, then each end acts as a leverage, a stability point for the other end. And so you should get some very nice clamping here with this design. And by making it hollow right there, he reduced the weight of the head, which is probably a good idea because it's probably got some, because of all this extended metal, has some weight sticking out there. I mean, when you're talking about this kind of design, it's really tricky to bring something new to the table. Could he have maybe made some cutouts here or something to reduce the weight? Maybe. That maybe could have compromised the strength of it. Also would have added production time, maybe made it more expensive. The bottom is very plain, just two facets, two planes of surface there, and you can see the high polish that this thing has. All right, well, enough talk, right? Let's load it up. So the back part here doesn't touch the blade. The blade stops long before that, but that back part is what touches the same back edge back here to provide that nice clamping leverage. I'm a little tired tonight. I didn't get much sleep last night. Had some kind of a hurt in my stomach. At first I thought it was pulled muscle. Then after talking to my wife today, she had gallbladder problems about a decade ago. Now the good news here is that by holding it like this, see my thumb, it's not in danger of touching the blade edge because the blade edge is back. And so you can hold it in a nice solid way. Now, so my wife knows about gallbladder issues. She had hers actually taken out and had a horrible experience at the hospital. with that whole deal. I'm going to remember to put the little washer in. And she said, hey, look up the symptoms of gallbladder attack. See if those match what you're going through. It really could be what it is. I don't know. We'll just see. About to be Thanksgiving here. I don't want to miss Thanksgiving time with the family because of that, right? I'll take it as it comes, I guess. So here we are, the blade's installed, and as you can see, the clamping here, boy, it comes very close to the edge, and that's something that it shares with the Saber, both of them. Nice, close to the edge clamping, so we should get a nice firm feel. Everything's locked down. And as you can see, the blade in there, he's not really resting on the bottom plate once you get to the back of the blade, to the spine part. Now, the next question here, and I'm going to put this down because I want to illustrate a few things. As we shave, many of these older models, especially the Micromatic open comb, which is renowned for being a kind of a rough razor, are designed for you to be very tiny with your blade angle, to almost touch the surface of the top cap here to your skin as you shave. Now, of course, that's subjective, but a lot of guys find that they have smoother, more enjoyable shaves that don't rough them up as much if they do that. Okay. Is this razor going to be something where I have to treat it that way? Now, I found the Saber is not that way. The Saber behaves a little bit more in terms of the angle like a double-edged razor, and I was pretty intuitive with the angle here, and having a kind of a normal blade angle for a double edge was not rough and aggressive at all. So we'll see what the Wolfman has to bring to the table here. The WR3 from Wolfman. He decided to jump into the single edge market. Why not? All right, let me get a splash of water on my face. We're shaving off, and this is a task for this razor. Shaving off almost 3 days of growth. Well, time now, I mean, really, it's pretty much 3 days of growth. So that'll be a task. We'll see if it's up to it. Get my face wet now. Instead of getting my face wet, I'm going to go ahead and load up my sample. Now, as a soft soap, sometimes you need more product, but we'll just use my standard 1/4 inch amount, because then I'll be able to compare it with other soaps. It is really soft. I mean, you could definitely argue that it's a cream. I've come to understand that when you harvest and process, when you process lavender, you use alcohol to do that, to extract the oils and all that. And so that camphor smell is a natural byproduct. When I was using the reserve line of Barrister and Mann, the lavender scent there, I was caught off guard by that camphor smell, and I contacted Will and I said, what's up with that? It's supposed to be lavender. And he explained what I was just telling you. That's just a natural byproduct of the extraction process. And the description on the past year shaving site for the Ethos Lavender said that the camphorous effect of this particular lavender scent, yeah, that's super soft, is kind of minimal. So if that camphor is a detractor for you, then maybe you would like this scent here. It is kind of a medicinal smell. I don't really enjoy it myself, the camphor. Don't have to be too picky about pressing this into the bottom of the bowl in a thin layer or anything because it's so soft. It's going to be fine. It's a nice scent. I've probably said that a few times now. Hey, I got a little new measuring spoon. I was using this crappy one from the Dollar Tree. When it's metal like this and has a thin wall, then if you have a harder soap that you're trying to dig stuff out of, you can actually just kind of dig through it instead of pushing it around. I definitely like this kind better. All right. That's what you have to do when you load a sample. Press it at the bottom of a bowl. All right, so let's whip up this sample into a lather. Shake out a lot of the water here. I'm using this brush. I have some others that I just got in that I could use, but wanted to use a known good brush because this is a single edge shave, and I didn't want the brush to be a variable. I didn't want a brush that could potentially give me a rough experience, or I guess I should say it could potentially exacerbate a rough cut. So let's watch as this very expensive soap comes up into a lather. Hey, HD Shaves provided this blade, probably. He sent me several blades, good many. He's in Chicago, so here it works out. It's fortuitous that the shirt today is the Chicago Bears. Now, right away, we've got kind of a lightly bubbly, very airy kind of lather that's coming up first. And Keto is the one who sent me, Keith. He sent me the soap here. So I appreciate being able to try this soap out. I was reading on the page for the Ethos brand, specifically this lavender soap, and it mentioned they have some kind of acronym like EOS or something, where it stands for maybe Earth, Ocean, Sky, or something like that. And their point is we're using natural products that are going to be beneficial to your skin. I think it may have mentioned 36 different, I don't know, nutrients, products, things that should help your skin, maybe reduce inflammation, different things like that. Now, as I've added the water, it's kind of thickened up now. That's good. It's a nice attractive lather in the bowl now. That airiness has definitely reduced. And it sure looks like we're going to have plenty of lather to do the job. Now, I am seeing a lot of micro bubbling here, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it may indicate that this should be maybe held a little drier than I might normally. Sometimes it means you just haven't mixed it for long enough. Let's add just a touch more water. The good news about the way I shave and that I don't use a ton of soap, I'm able to conserve soap with the bowl here, is that one of these little tubs of sample will give me a good many shaves. And so if I do happen to overwater it, the next shave might not have that same mistake. But I declare there are some soaps where if I would have stopped short, I would have never found that soap's magical potential. The water just kind of activated it somehow and created that proper lather emulsion. The lavender scent is nice and present. I'd say maybe 5 out of 10. So it is coming up from the bowl here to my nose. It's not a lavender that is ladylike or feminine to me. Not a floral type note. It's just kind of, now see, we had a different drop right there with kind of a longer peak than we did before. Let's go ahead and use this the way it is right now, and we'll just see if I needed to add more water or not. Now, from the looks of it, we've got a good amount of lather here, and that speaks well, because I would hate to buy a $36 soap and need to use more than a 1/4 teaspoon. There's some soaps out there who use 1/8 of a teaspoon is all you need. Yeah, I'm glad I stopped. A little bit of cushion there. Pretty good residual slickness. Kind of a light oily kind of slickness on the contacts of my fingertips here. That'll be interesting to see how it works out. I bet it'll be just fine. Now here's the $1,000,000 question, right? If you're using a soap that costs twice as much as some other already established really good soaps, then is it worth it? Well, you'll just have to do that research yourself in terms of sometimes you may want to look at the ingredients. If the soap has what you think are better ingredients, maybe ingredients that are better for your skin than maybe another soap, then that might be all you need. If you value vegan versus tallow, if you value the essential oils only versus if you don't mind having fragrance oil in there, that could help you justify an increased cost. All right, get my face wet one more time. I was thinking about the mutton tallow base from Stirling, and boy, that's hard to beat. It's an amazing base. Slickness is top notch. Creamy. It's even creamier with that high amount of hydration. It's even creamier than their normal beef tallow base. And it's half the cost, less than half the cost of this soap. Now, of course, that mutton tallow base is kind of a strong base scent, and so they've had to add it in the lines with other certain kind of funky smells, like Port-au-Prince, which is vetiver, lemongrass, right? And Haitian vetiver, I think, is what that is. Glastonbury. Glastonbury. Sorry, it took me a second. And then the sheep mixes, where you're kind of expecting it to have a little bit of a sheep funk to it. And that reminded me, as I was thinking about the bases and comparing them, that I just found out when I saw on Stirling's sale page that Port-au-Prince and Glastonbury soaps were on their clearance page. I was a little bit concerned because the mutton tallow base is tremendous. It's one of the best values out there for the performance it gives you. And I thought, if they're on the clearance page, is he going to phase them out? And so I contacted Rod, and he responded pretty quickly back to me, the owner of Stirling. And he said that the Port-au-Prince scent is going to be discontinued in the mutton base. It's in the mutton base, and it's going to be discontinued. And so I'm glad I have my own stock of it, because as a soap scent to have around me during the shave. I really like it. It's strong. I like it a lot. So I was able to buy some, and I was able to get that nice clearance price. And so if you like vetiver, I think with a little bit of lemongrass mixed in, you've always wanted to try the sheep tallow formula of Stirling, then now's a great time, if they still have some left on the clearance page, to buy some of that up, because it seems like from what Rod said, unless there's some kind of real big demand, that's going to become discontinued. And he did say that at this point he's not planning on discontinuing the mutton tallow line. However, he does see the mutton tallow prices in the industry rising, and if they get too high, he's not going to be able to afford to keep going with that line. And so that's a variable. So if you have some sheep soaps that you want to purchase, this next year, this next 6 months, I don't know what time frame you're looking at, might be a great time to save up and pick up some of those guys. All right, so water on my face. Go buy some Stirling mutton tallow soap if you're interested. All right, 3 days of growth. Brush is doing a great job. It's not being too stiff. Of course, it's got those nice soft tips. Lather's doing very well. It feels slick. It feels nice and creamy, working well with the tips. I'm going to take a little bit of that away just so I don't have a bunch fall out on me. With 3 days of growth, I really probably should have washed my face, get rid of all those oils prior to the shave, but it's not dissipating this lather any, so maybe it'll work out just fine. You can hear that stubble being a little extra long in my case today. So it looks like this is going to be plenty of lather. I will dribble a few drops of water onto the brush here because I feel like it could use a little bit what's on my face for this first pass. So we'll be rating it in terms of performance. And why not? Let's compare it against other soaps that cost half as much. Because if you like the custom ingredients, the essential oils only, that sort of thing, you're not going to mind as much paying extra for it. But what if you're a performance junkie like me? There are other soaps out there that don't cost too much, that use only essential oils. Sudsy Soapery, I know, has several scents that are like that. They don't cost $36. I feel like this could be a little wetter, but I'm sure it'll calm down just fine as I splash after each pass, that sort of thing. I think the other passes are going to be just fine. Feels really nice on my face. lavender scent, still very present in a good way. Oh, also had this aside. This is the Wolfman WR3 we'll be shaving with. This is the Mongoose. It's a very similar design. This uses the Artist Club blades, which are not as thick as not as deep as the way you're looking at it there, as the single edge from Jim. And so therefore the razor head is more narrow, but it's pretty much the same design. You've got your post in the back, three-piece design, post in the back that does the clamping, and then your top cap and base plate there. So similar. And of course, with the Artist Club, this is a wider razor. I do like the way this shaves. All right, here we go. This is a heavy one. This is I think the H2 handle, and it is not the hollow one, so it's heavy. All right, here we go, folks. We'll start conservatively with a very small blade angle. Just see. Definitely has some blade feel. With what I'm feeling so far, I think I'm happy I started with such a small angle. Not a lot of audio going on. Well, and also remember, I'm saying this to myself as well, we're shaving off 3 days of growth. This is not 1 day of growth. So I just need to be careful not to jump to too many conclusions about the smoothness if I'm really kind of throwing it into the fire here, right? Now, of course, we'll use it tomorrow, and it'll be, God willing, the gallbladder holds out, and it'll be a more normal 24-hour type shave. So considering that it was 3 days of growth, I'm really glad I remembered that. It would have been a dumb review if I hadn't. Considering it just mowed down 3 days of growth, I definitely have double-edged razors that would even take down these 3 days with a lot more comfort than this one. But really, that's pretty good. Give myself a good rinse. Now that's a really efficient razor. I don't feel a whole lot of stubble. Oh man, that's a good cutter. Now, if you're new to these single-edged blades, the Gem PTFE is really the one to make sure you try out. So many people have tried them, different ones, and so many people just turn right back to the PTFE. It's like so many things are subjective in this hobby, but the blade you use for your Gem single-edged is one of the least subjective things out there. Everybody seems to prefer really the vast majority like the PTFE. All right, now second pass. Cross grain now. A little bit of blade feel now. No tugging anymore. Definitely doesn't have the singing. Of the vintage pieces. And I prefer that. You know, everybody's each to his own about that. I'm just focusing on a light touch as usual, but I'm also focusing on a small blade angle. Almost feel like I'm using a hatchet with the angle of that head, the look of the head. Well, the lather is performing very well. I'm enjoying the slickness of it. Seems to be nourishing to the skin as well. The moisturizing aspects of it, the nourishing parts don't seem to be getting in the way of the slickness. And if you've watched my videos, you know that that's something that I really enjoy. I don't want to sacrifice that slickness. Let's throw a little bit of water on here. Do we dare do a third pass? Am I going to generate any irritation? I think that's a good question. Let's give it a shot. So here I'm about to put on this third pass. And I'm very pleasantly joyous to see that we've got plenty of lather in the bowl left, 2 or 3 passes left. So with such an expensive soap, it's nice to see that you don't have to use 1/4 teaspoon to get plenty of lather. Use a little bit less and you'll still be fine. And I mean, shoot, there's even like a pass more in that. So you might be able to squeeze 4 more passes out of what's left there. I'm really happy to see that. How much water did we use? Not a lot. Looks like about 16 milliliters. One of these years, I'm going to say milliliters without first thinking millimeters. All right. I think I did generate a touch of irritation right here because the blade is just so sharp. Sometimes when you're going over those bumps, the hills, you know, you need to change your angle or something because it's just going to ding you. Now, by keeping the blade angle low, I think it's being a pretty mild razor. I think it's under control. So I think what we may have here is a good, efficient cutter that has a pretty high degree of comfort. And that may be something that HD Shaves likes as well. Maybe that's why he rated it so high. Skin feels very nice. So this soap does deliver a very good skin feel here. You get kind of a rinse here and check out the closeness. Now I had some work that needs to be done right there in my tricky spot. Sometimes when a razor feels a little like it could cut me, then I back off perhaps a little bit. Put a little bit more lather right there. But my cheeks and other parts of my neck have a nice close shave. Very happy with that. Taking it slow, watching my razor angle so that I keep good technique, even though it's awkward. I'm not used to having to hold a razor in this way. Now if I put a little extra lather right there, can I do this? I'm not going to risk any more than that. Often I get irritation. Now that did a much better job. It cleaned that area right up. Perhaps doing that kind of technique on the third pass would let me get everything done in just 3 passes instead of having to do a touch-up And I think that's just a case of learning the razor. I was being cautious, and I'm glad about that, because I think this razor could have definitely given me a good bit of irritation if I wasn't careful. I did not see HD Shaves use this razor. I don't know what angle he went with it, but I'm very glad I chose a small blade angle, a large handle angle to start out with. It's possible that other shaves I might do something different, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I started out that way. I do feel a little bit of irritation somewhere around here, just a little bit of razor burn. Now I'm going to be bringing you this Achilles Brito Lavanda cream at some point, but I figure this is lavender and it might be a great match for woody. I love woody. Do I have my Agar down there? I love to pair a woody scent like Stirling Agar Oud with the lavender scent. Really neat transition, and they work so well together. Another possible one would have been sandalwood. And the camphor smell, I think I said this, I meant to, it's definitely reduced. I barely picked up any at all. Oh yeah, what a great match with the lavender. Keto, man, thank you so much for providing this soap sample. I really appreciate that. That's a very enjoyable soap. The lather, high performance, very slick. It took a good bit of water, so it was able to be that really slick performance lather. While it also still has a creamy feel on your face, a hydrating, kind of nourishing feel. So in terms of the quality of the lather, it seems very high. Is it twice as good as others? Well, that's, to me, probably not. But it's a very good soap, and I think it's a very enjoyable lather scent. I've definitely had some other lathers that were different, more kind of either more boring or had some other pieces come into it that I didn't enjoy quite as much. So I think I enjoy the scent. I like the scent quite a bit. So man, thank you so much for that sample of Ethos, whatever you guys, how you want to pronounce that. So that was a good shave today. I'm glad that wasn't, I didn't expect it to be a dud soap, right? Keith probably wouldn't send me a dud. And so I'm glad it was a nice quality lather to go with this shave. It does have the potential to cut me a little with its aggression. And so I needed something nourishing, something protective. So, and you see how he cut away a little bit in that top cap, and that reduced the weight. It's probably smart. So we can just lift out the blade from the base plate here, and off camera, I will wipe down properly all these pieces. So I want to suspend judgment until after I do a normal shave with it. But it sure seems capable, as long as you're careful, of a nice controlled, reasonably smooth feel to the shave. Definitely different in terms of how you have to hold the razor, keeping the right angle. Definitely different in that regard. Very interesting, and just like the soap, Thank you, HD Shaves. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to try it out. It's a quality piece. Wolfman is a wonderful maker of shaving implements, and to be able to try his latest creation is a privilege. Very nice. Obviously, the construction, the craftsmanship here of the corners and edges and surfaces is all just, it's top notch. I mean, that's what you get with that kind of price point. It really is. So very good. And knowing that the use of it is a little awkward, definitely glad I didn't go with the Darwin handle. I'm very glad about that. All right, so I look forward to another shave with the WR3. Oh, hey, something else I want to tell you guys. I'm snatching up a few injectors because I just been on a kick about that over the last maybe month or so. And I think I showed you guys the tennis racket. It's called the Schick Grip. The tennis racket theme. And then a recent acquisition is the Stick Schick. Stick shift. For those of you guys who've never driven a stick shift, that's what it is. It just kind of looks like a cheap plastic part here, but I'm sure the mechanism might even be identical to the Schick Grip. So those will be fun to use. And I recently got in the long-handled black. I don't know the letter of that one yet. I need to study up a little bit. So those are forthcoming. That'll be fun. I'm happy about the soap, that you can get a good many uses out of your product. And so that makes it easier to swallow that higher cost. If you can make that soap last 9 months, what's $36 for 9 months of good shaves? So now if you're using a lot of product, if you're an overloader, then you're not going to see that value, right? I'll bring back my big old 35 millimeter Thader here soon. Man, this guy's huge. Look forward to that. All right, now. Well, that's been today's shave. I'm honored by the guys sending me this really cool stuff. I look forward to more uses and bringing it to you. Very nice. Yeah, firm feel with the razor. The blade is just locked down. You don't get the idea that it is flexing at all. It feels there is some aggressive nature to it that kind of feels to me like one of those Micromatic open combs. Very similar. It reminds me a lot of that. But let's hold off and use it on a 24-hour growth and see if it has that same feel. Because, of course, like I said, the aggression I experienced today in that first pass, a little bit of tugging, totally expected when you got 3 days of growth on your face. All right, guys, there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope this has been one that you have enjoyed watching, that's going to help you out somehow. Take care, guys. HD Shaves, Keto, thank you so much for your wonderful generosity. Good night.